Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. If you want to get straight into the video without a quick message, then just skip to this timestamp. This video will be split into chapters, so feel free to visit whichever part most interests you. Anyway, welcome everyone to the first CZZ Productions video of 2024. I know, it's been a solid few weeks without a new video, but I have been incredibly busy, mainly with exams but also some side projects. I just wanted to start this video by thanking everyone who has been watching and interacting with my videos from last year. It does truly make my day to see this channel sometimes doing decent, but being a new year, I'm going for higher ambitions than ever and making sure that this channel reaches 1000 subs before the end of this year. This I can guarantee. Hopefully this won't get quoted negatively in 25, but enough chit chat and let's get straight into the video. This one I have been cooking for a while, so enjoy. You wanna know something bonkers? It's been almost 8 years since the release of Sister Location. Seriously, where does the time go? This game, especially for its time, was one big experiment by Scott Cawthon, being the first game to deviate from the classic Five Nights at Freddy's formula. It was a brave artistic decision to go more futuristic sci-fi and get the player moving around the establishment instead of just staying in one room. In addition to this, it was the longest FNAF game that you could play, especially when you take into considerations how many times you may die on difficult sections, such as Night 4, and if you're a dumbass like me, then Night 5 as well. The two main things that it revolutionized were gameplay and how it tells its story. The gameplay takes a distinct change from the mechanics of its predecessors, coupled with abundance of lore that oftentimes didn't quite fit people's expectations. Many times, Sister Location is described as more of an experience rather than a game that you can go back and constantly replay. I both agree and disagree with this. One thing that is clear to me is that it's almost a perfect game for a YouTube playthrough. Scott designed many sequences with this in mind. But to fully immerse yourself in this experience, it's more important to sit down and play it yourself, rather than to watch someone else play it, more than some other games in the franchise. The ambience is simply unparalleled and some of the best in the series. I was more often scared in this 2-hour game than the whole of Security Breach. Another thing that stood out in Security Breach is of course the voice acting. It was such a refreshing take to better understand what's going on by hearing other characters talk about it apart from the phone guy. Sure, it's nowhere near as replayable as the other 4 before it, but for the quality of the overall experience in this little time, it is more than worth it. Those who want replayability can go for the alternative endings and complete the custom 9 mode, which puts you back into the office for 12 to 6. To be honest with you, the game contains a little something for everyone in the FNAF community, and for that reason I find it more complete than the others. But of course there are drawbacks to the game, and a measly intro is not going to convince anyone to feel differently about the game. So how about we take a little deep dive into why Sister Location is a masterpiece.
There's no doubting what you've achieved on a technical level. These are clearly state-of-the-art. There are just certain design choices that were made for these robots that we don't fully understand. We were hoping that you could shed some light on those.
She can dance. She can sing. She's equipped with a built-in helium tank for inflating balloons right at her fingertips. She can take song requests. She can even dispense ice cream.
With all due respect, those aren't the design choices we were curious about, Mr. Afton.
The game spends no time messing around, and after a chilling voiceover from Elizabeth Afton and a crisp render of Circus Baby, you are thrown straight into the facility. FNAF games all in all do a good job of making the player feel isolated, but this is especially in effect at the start of Sister Location. Lacking much context, you are plummeting down underground in an elevator. This new establishment in which you work is deep below the surface, emphasizing this idea of isolation, as you are far away from anyone. Your one and only companion to break the silence is hand Handy Unit, an automated robotic voice that serves to guide you and take the piss when you can't properly type on a stupid little keypad. Throughout each of the nights, you're required to crawl through unlit vent spaces to reach the central room and circus gallery. Whilst you are in no danger whilst travelling through these vents, not being able to see 10 centimeters in front of you and possibly having important sounds masked by the banging of your knees on the metal is uncomfortable. People like to complain about the fact that on the second night, when you're crawling back through the vent, when you hear banging sounds and stay in the vent, nothing happens. Well, firstly, almost everyone would have rushed to get the hell out of there, so they wouldn't have known anyway. And secondly, even with the knowledge that you won't get jump scared from staying there for too long, it doesn't make you any less uncomfortable. This is similar to the segment when you pass back through Bellora's gallery. Even if you're not in direct danger, you still feel that you are, as that's what the game conditions you to feel. You don't want to take big risks, as the game punishes you for it. Your usual tasks are to shine a light on each stage and shock animatronics to return to their correct place. Many players feeling guilty from constantly shocking them, others not so much. Allegedly, the animatronics are just a simple hunk of metal and wires who can't feel anything. Well, that is until you reach the circus gallery and Circus Baby speaks to you on the second night. Within reason, this shocked most players as animatronics have never spoken to the player before, especially in such a human-like uncanny voice.
I don't recognize you. You are new. I remember this scenario, however. It's a strange thing to want to do, to come here.
Heather Masters does such a good job of making this character come to life. Baby warns us about not listening to the Handy Unit's instructions for going through Bellora's gallery. This further creates unease as you don't know who to trust. Handy Unit has been your only escort in this unfamiliar environment. If you can't trust him, then you can't trust anyone. Baby does sound convincing, but you just met her. You later find out that you can't trust anyone in this place and must rely solely on intuition to survive. Handy Unit then shuts the power off and you are truly left stranded.
There seems to be a power malfunction that is affecting our ability to properly motivate Baby. Please stand by while I reboot the system. I will be offline momentarily during this process. Various other systems may be offline as well, such as security doors, vent locks, and oxygen. Commencing system restart.
Motion trigger. Entryway vent. Funtime Auditorium maintenance vent open. Ballora Gallery maintenance vent open.
Of course, the announcements don't help, notifying the player that all security systems including door/vent locks are offline and even oxygen may deplete. This pairs nicely with the previous night, when something is trying to get into the vent but a lock may be preventing it. Well, now everything is set free to get you. After hiding under the desk and defending yourself from a biddy-bab invasion, you must go to the breaker room to restart the power yourself manually. You enter Bellora's gallery and must keep a listen out for her music, signifying her proximity to you. To better hear the music, people usually turn up their volume, but it comes with a trade-off as getting jump scared is just that more terrifying. In the breaker room, you flip up a monitor to restart the power in each room. You must get the percentage to 100% and if you stop halfway through, then it goes back to 0%. Now this is where players start to get risky in order to get 100% and usually get jump scared by Funtime Freddy. You have a danger meter that increases to full and starts flashing as you have the monitor up for too long, signaling that Funtime Freddy is getting closer to you. The room is very dark, but with occasional flashing lights you can make out the figure of Funtime Freddy, and at varying distances, sometimes literally being in front of you. You must play audio tapes of his puppet Bon Bon to calm him down and make him return to his original position. Running back through Bellora's gallery, you notice how there's no music. Hesitant, you continue running forward and hear her talking to you, enhancing the spooky factor, but that's a section in of itself. In between the nights, you sit at home watching a soap opera and munching on your popcorn, acting as a light-hearted relief in between the terrors of your job. On the third night, you perform your duties as normal, and this time you must cross the Funtime Foxy's gallery to do maintenance on Funtime Freddy. You must do this using a flash beacon to maneuver safely in the darkness. Make sure you don't bump into anything. You reach parts and service, carefully repair Freddy, deactivate his puppet, and on the way back you get jump scared without doing anything? What? On my first playthrough, This jump scare got me the worst as it's unavoidable, but instead of getting the expected game over screen, you are thrown straight into night 4. This game does not even allow you a break. You listen to Baby speak and witness Ballora getting torn apart by the scooper, then fend off against mini arenas in a sensitive spring-lock suit. This night is very infamous, and I will talk about it more in gameplay. You get out and enjoy some time at home before returning. You go back through Foxy's gallery and this time perform maintenance on Baby. Afterwards, you walk out and a voice leads you to the scooper, and you die. The game ends. So, this was mainly a recap of what went on. Next is gameplay. Gameplay is completely changed in this game. I think probably for the better, but let's be honest, everyone thinks the gameplay is just ass in this game. Instead of sticking to the classic formulaic approach of making use of the same mechanics each night, occasionally adding one or two making each night more difficult, Sister Location throws that completely out the window and introduces something unique each night. The nights, however, are still usually circular. You begin in the elevator and you end in your sofa. Like other FNAF games, the difficulty increases as the nights go on, peaking when you're in an intense boss fight against Ennard in the private room. But CZZ, you f***ing idiot, surely night 4 is the most difficult part. Well yeah, I think it's hard, and before I knew what I was doing, I was constantly dying. In fact, my dumbass thought that I had to shake off the mini arenas when they were entering my suit, which obviously didn't work out too well. I agree, this section of the game is a little too difficult considering what you are made to do previously. But after watching a quick guide, shout out Ambience, I completed this section first try. If anyone struggles on this bit, then give his video a watch, it helped me out a whole bunch. Other parts where the difficulty is unusually high is how you must almost instantly type in the code on Baby's keypad before Ennard kills you. You get given a 2-second gap or else you're dead meat. The checkpoints are cruel, but act as deterrents for not giving the game your full attention and messing up. It helps to increase anxiety in performing tasks because you don't want to waste time. Being pushed back in progress is not fun, but I like the way the game punishes you. As you constantly need to do something new, it's hard for the gameplay to become stale. Each task is always day and night from the other and therefore requires you to act quickly on the spot to survive. The gameplay often emphasizes the vulnerability of the player, as I mentioned before, creating a sense of helplessness. You have no mask to hide yourself, and no doors to close. There is no safety net of the gameplay, such as power. Even in the Ennard night, the only way you can win is to have like below 10 to 15% power left at 6 AM. Talking about the Ennard night, it is so well made. Pastra has a whole video dedicated to explaining the genius of this night, and he does a great job, so I highly recommend you check it out. He has way more to offer than me about this night, but I will give my own little rundown. In a nutshell, it combines many aspects from the previous 4 games and adds some features of itself. Like FNAF 4, you heavily rely on sound whether you need to act or not. And like FNAF 1, 2 and 3, cameras must also be used as Ennard the cheeky bastard can move silently sometimes. By the way, the sound is directional to give you a better idea of what side Ennard is attacking from, so get that volume turned up. Your power drains quicker than FNAF 1, so you have very limited power usage or else you will die long before the night is over. There is only one animatronic, but it is as stressful and chaotic as FNAF 2 in terms of resource management. It's not exactly a night that you are likely to beat your first try, as the strict power limit and cruel mechanics must be something that you get used to. Like night 4, the night only gets more and more intense, propelling the stress meter to the limit near the end. During the last 2 hours, 4 to 6 AM, a single mistake that wastes power or leaves the door open at the wrong time will result in instant death. But hey, this night is also completely optional, so you don't have to take on a challenge if you don't wish. Although it is required to unlock the custom night mode where the gameplay gets on a whole nother level. Considering how there is such a wide range of gameplay that differs in difficulty and nature, I'm surprised to see so many people hate the gameplay. But then again, it's not for everyone, as it is very different from what people are used to and may enjoy from the other games. Oh, it may not be perfect in itself, but it pairs perfectly with the scenario and the story for an unusual environment and on-the-fly decision making. So, the gameplay ain't too shabby, but does it make you change your underwear? Sister Location must probably be the second scariest game in the franchise, FNAF 4 being on top. That won't change anytime soon, excluding Help Wanted by the way. The game is oftentimes not straight in your face horror and leans closer to psychological horror. Paired with the intriguing and complex story, the creepy factor never hides. Right from the start, your one and only helper is an automated voice. In fact, the only time you ever hear humans talk is in the fourth night with the two technicians. This, alongside being trapped deep underground, highlighted by the elevator sequences, is the game constantly reminding you that you are indeed alone. This is not like any of the other games, as there isn't even a slight chance of escape and survival when you are below ground with countless monsters. The animatronics maintain their uncanny nature, which only gets more intensified with their sinister, self-aware nature. This is the first time the animatronics have talked to you, and they sound way too human for their own good. Just because of this, you are more likely to somewhat trust them as you finally recognize something familiar in this desolate place. Baby talks to you and gives you advice, which if you follow, you survive. And it pretends to be Baby and also gives you advice, which if you follow, you die. In the end, it's your misplaced trust that leads to your demise. When in the maintenance room with Baby, if you look closely behind her, you can actually see Anna's tentacles. And when you hear what you think is Baby's voice, there's a weird disturbance to it, hinting that it's not actually her. Something else in this part that most might not have picked up is that you can hear a dripping sound.
2, 3, 7.
Most likely the blood of the technician hanging near you, or the guts of Elizabeth spilling out of Baby according to the game code. Talking about the hanging technicians, so you know how I said that they're the only humans around? Well, it comes as quite a shock when you check the lights and see them hanging dead. At this point, the uncomfortable meter is through the roof, and you are truly by yourself, being as unsafe as ever. As I said previously, there are some humorous moments in the game. As they act to contrast the horror, they almost make it more powerful. A great example of this is playing upbeat bongo music in the elevator or listening to Angsty Teen. They give you a full sense of security in a way that makes the following events just that more terrifying. One of the key aspects of FNAF is the jump scares, and Sister Location undeniably has the best alongside the likes of Pizza Sim. It is such a nice touch that each animatronic has a slightly different scream tailored to them, and the animation is also well done. The high-pitched scream given off when you get jump scared is more reminiscent of a human scream, making it absolutely spine-chilling. In addition to this, most of the animatronics open up their faceplates, revealing their endoskeleton, making good use of their design. Now more on the psychological horror of the game. When traveling through the galleries, the game makes use of two common fears: fear of the dark and the unknown. What makes these so effective is that they are universal to almost every player and persist throughout the whole runtime of the game. In terms of the fear of the unknown, it deliberately shrouds its narrative in mystery, revealing unsettling details gradually. This deliberate withholding of information haunts you with questions regarding the origins and motivations of the characters. With no clear picture, your imagination can take you to some unsettling places. Okay, so I've talked about the Five Nights, the gameplay, and the horror. But being one of the more narrative-driven games, I can't jump to conclusions without talking about the story. The beginning voiceover includes William Afton's voice, describing the design of Baby, which includes some interesting design choices which leads to the eventual death of his daughter Elizabeth Afton. In the Circus Baby minigame, with a rather strict order in which you must do things and a harsh time limit, if you feed all the kids and come back to the start, then you drop off an ice cream. Elizabeth comes for the ice cream and gets snatched into Baby, most likely instantly killing her. Before each night, we hear Elizabeth wanting to see Baby, and once she does, she is all alone as all the other kids are gone. FNAF likes to use 8-bit minigames to tell its story, and it always does it well, with Sister Location being no exception. After beating the game and getting your first star, you get access to the extras menu. In this extras menu, if you go over to the bottom left hand side of the screen, then you can replay the Circus Baby minigame as many times as you want. Now, people like to complain about this fact because it defeats the whole purpose of it being a death minigame, but then again, there's no actual way of accessing the private room without successfully doing this minigame first. So do you really want to constantly keep killing yourself on a chance that you get this minigame with a super strict time limit, or just be able to access it as many times as you want? And the only way you can keep repeating it is once you've already beaten the full game, so what's the point in not giving it to the player? Now, getting back into the story, you play in the first perspective of Michael Afton, William's son, Elizabeth's brother, and the crying child's brother. It is later revealed that the reason he took up the job to be a night technician at Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental was that he was instructed by his father to search for his sister. This explains why Circus Baby is such a key character that you interact with many times. Now, not much is really known about Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rental, only that it was created by Afton Robotics and served to be a replacement for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza as mentioned by Handy Unit. This would mean that it is later down the timeline, contrary to people suggesting that the game takes place before the first game. It is suggested that the facility itself is housed under Fredbear's and Friends and the FNAF 4 house, but we will never know for sure. In the private room, if you enter 1983 on the keypad, then the monitors will start showing parts of the FNAF 4 house. This Easter egg links the games even closer together. People have also suggested that this camera feed is actually live, so take that as you will. After the scooping room incident, you watch Michael's body in the reflection of a bathroom mirror as Ennard has taken over his body. After completing the very hard mode of each custom night preset, you are shown secret cutscenes, which show the events after Michael was scooped. At first, he appears normal and people around him cheer, but gradually his skin appears to be more and more rotten as Ennard uses his organic body. Eventually, his appearance closely resembles the purple guy's, and he can barely limp across the road as people hide from him. Then he shakes and vomits out the robotic part of Ennard into the sewer and lies on a pavement dead. But after somehow hearing Baby's voice, he gets back up and eyes in the sewer start to light up. If you end up beating the notorious Golden Freddy mode on very hard difficulty, then you get access to the final secret cutscene. Here we hear Michael's monologue after the previous 8-bit cutscenes have taken place. He says how he was able to find Elizabeth and somehow free her, along with how the animatronics believed that he was William and so wanted revenge. He is confused as to why and how he is still alive, being unaware of Remnant, an object which can bind souls to inanimate objects. Finally, he mentions how he is going to find William, not explicitly said, but with a voice that suggests killing him. It ends with Springtrap springing to life from the rubble of Fazbear's Fright, confirming that he survived. This in turn perfectly sets up FNAF 6, where both characters return for one final time. What exactly these cutscenes symbolize is still up for discussion. This game does leave you with more questions than answers. Taking this all together, the game isn't perfect, I mean duh, but oftentimes it gets hated for all the wrong reasons. Obviously, if you're not a fan of a more sci-fi vibe and a slower based narrative gameplay, then this isn't for you, which is completely fine. The storyline for the game is complex and can be considered messy at times with plot holes. However, the reason why the FNAF community has been going strong for this many years is the constant discussions and debates surrounding the lore and the quality of the games. Despite being described by some as an experience rather than a game suitable for constant replay, Sister Location offers a refined perspective. While it may not provide the same replayability as its predecessors, the game's quality in terms of the overall experience, ambience, and psychological tensions makes it worthwhile to check out at least once. The atmospheric design, coupled with the outstanding voice acting, creates an unrivaled sense of fear and unease, surpassing even longer and more recent entries in the series, Security Breach. Along with this, it gives FNAF 1 to 4 a serious run for their money. In its entirety, Sister Location emerges as a masterpiece in the FNAF series, offering a well-rounded gaming experience that provides various preferences within the FNAF community. While not always quite hitting the mark, the game's strengths lie in its narrative depth, unique gameplay, and effective horror. As we continue to look back on this standout entry in the franchise, it remains a testament to Scott Cawthon's sheer willingness to take risks and push the boundaries of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Stay tuned next season for those answers and more.
There you have it guys, I truly wish you enjoyed this video, and if you stayed all the way until the end then you are a true legend. Believe me, I wish this video could be long as I still have many things to talk about, but then again I don't have all the time in the world, so this will have to do for now. If you liked this video and want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below what you think of Sister Location. I'm curious to hear. Oh yeah, and make sure you keep a lookout because the next video is going to be on FNAF and once again it's going to be banging, so you don't want to miss it. But anyway guys, this is all from me today. Make sure you have a nice day and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.